It's time. Starkid theory time. So I know it's been a while since I last did a proper Starkid theory video. I promise I'm going to make it up to you, because this video, if the contents of this notebook that I've got here is any indication, this is going to be a very in-depth look at where I think we're headed, and things and answers to questions, and I'm rambling because I've lost my train of thought. This isn't a good start. I've got my Heather's notebook, which is September 1st, 1989. Dear Diary. No, I won't go into Heather's, but anyway, it's the first notebook I grabbed and I thought it seemed eerily appropriate. I've got my Keep Calm, It's Gonna Be Totally Awesome top, and I've paired it with some plaid because we're dealing with Hatchetfield, and this plaid makes me feel like I should be in Hatchetfield. How this video is going to run is, first off, I should probably give you a warning. There's going to be Nightmare Time spoilers. If you haven't got it at this point, then, I mean, don't go any further. And that does include episodes 1, which is available on YouTube, 2 and 3. So when I say Nightmare Time spoilers, I do mean the full 3, 6, you know, the full thing. If you haven't seen all of Nightmare Time, please don't spoil it for yourself. I love you just as much. Bye. Are they gone? Cool. For those of you still here, expect fangirling, freak out, and my brain melting. Because when I was writing this, I seriously had flashbacks to writing essays for university and things like that. Let's get started with my first couple of theories. Because there were the videos were so long, I decided to break it up because I thought it'd be easier, which has made it somewhat easier for me going back to adapt it, because then I can go, oh, this subject heading, let me amend it. That's what I'm gonna do now before we get into properly Nightmare Time episode by episode, bit by bit, not like line by line. But I'm going to tackle what I've said previously and where I think that's going. And what am me with props. So first off, Multiverse. You will hear this a lot. If any of my notes are indication, Multiverse is confirmed. Like, not outright, but there is too much evidence for you to ignore it now. There are so many people who are like going, it's Groundhog Day and stuff like that, and it could still be... It's Multiverse. Like, that's the one I'm most confident on. There are other theories of mine that are very close to my heart, but that was the one I was most confident on. I wasn't expecting time travel to be confirmed before multiverses. So, yay! Titles are very important. I covered this in my Nerdy Prudes Must Die theory video, which, you know, 50-50, I did alright in that video. But obviously I referenced the guy who didn't like musicals. We should have known Paul wasn't going to get a happy ending. And there are a number of titles in Nightmare Time that, I mean, I did do a title reaction video and me trying to analyse the titles because I knew titles are important, and so, yeah. And I mean, I didn't do too badly, judging by titles. So titles are really important in Hatchetfield. That still stands up. So we should definitely just keep in mind Nerdy Prudes Must Die. For who? Do the Nerdy Prudes have to die for the good guys? Do they have to die for the bad guys? Like, what is going on? Answers. I mean, strangely enough, I was writing all this out and I was like, I think we have got more answers, but I think we've also got way more questions than I thought. It's sort of like, and I'm sure some of you, well, I hope some of you will agree with me on this, it's sort of like we're doing a puzzle, but like the Lang brothers haven't told us where the blue bits are for like the sky, or we don't have any of the edges, so we're just kind of going, well, that makes sense, I guess. It kind of works. Let's just leave it like that for a minute. Deaths, I mean, it's gonna be death. Death is just a theme, just something that happens in Hatchetfield all the time. By the way, sorry, just came running into my brain. Ray Theory Gal, but we were chatting on Twitter. I don't remember the exact how it started, but Ray went, I think I can survive Hatchetfield. I know, it was Hatchetfield or Connor Creek or something like that. And I said I'd take Connor Creek any day. And she went, I think I could survive Hatchetfield. And I went, no one can, that's the point. Everyone dies in Hatchetfield, Ray. Come on. I'm gonna go through episode by episode now. So, episode 1. The one available on YouTube. So, starting off with the Hatchetfield 8-man, there's not a whole lot from Hatchetfield 8-man that we can take, which you'll be grateful for because there is so much I took from episodes 2 and 3. First off, brilliant British accents, everyone. Top-notch accents. If you want to see more of me analysing the accents, because I know some of you asked me to do that last time I was talking about Nightmare Time, I've done a video, me analysing Kurt and Angela's accents in Nightmare Time. Some hits and misses, essentially. Go check it out. I mean, Higgins is alive, therefore it's before that bit, like before the guy who didn't like musicals. But did Ted know Professor Higgins before the guy who didn't like musicals? Did that happen then? Oh no. Oh, what? So, Multiverse, everyone. Then we move on to Watch World, which introduced Blinky, which, so creepy. I keep seeing messages from people saying they're cute. Am I like the only person who doesn't find like any of them cute? Like, no! Wiggly's terrifying! Like, they're all terrifying! That's the point! No, like, I'm with Tom.
You're not that cute, are you? In fact, you're real fucking ugly.
So I'm sure, like a lot of you, there was one point that slightly made me lose my mind. Yeah, it's that bit in the show. Angela's Sniggle gets hit round the head with a mallet, just starts dying on the stage, and then she's called Angela. And it's like, oh, and then they go, Jeff. No! No! I mean, so what does this mean? Are we in Hatchetfield? Is Starkid in Hatchetfield? Are we in Inception? Has the top stopped spinning? Nick, answer me! What is going on? So in answer to all of those questions, I don't have a proper concrete answer for that. That is one of the biggest, oh, I wish I could crack it moments in Nightmare Time for me. It's the, yeah, what? I'm sure there's like a simple answer of just, yes, Starkid is in Hatchetfield as its own entity. And then I'm like, but then is it, huh? What? My head. The only thing I can say with certainty is if we are in Hatchetfield, stop buying the Wiggly dolls. So that's episode 1, moving on to episode 2. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated, so stay with me. In my mind, Forever and Always and Time Bastard confirms it's a multiverse. Like in episode 1, it's called sort of like, yeah, it's a multiverse. But this is where they go, yes. Because there was something I think we all missed the first time we kind of saw it. And then we kind of either rethought it in our heads or re-saw it if we had the opportunity to rewatch it. Which, I mean, I watched it about 5 times or something like that. Really like Time Bastard. I just really like that story. In The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, Emma, when they fall out of the helicopter and have that whole accident, Emma gets that metal rod through the leg and it's shown that she's bleeding. With me so far. In Forever and Always, when the Emma decoy gets her eye poked, it's just sparks that come out. So there's the whole thing of going, was Emma a decoy in The Guy Who Done That Musicals or not? No. Emma in The Guy Who Done That Musicals was human. And here's my reasoning. She bled. She bled. She had blood coming out of her. She had the sparks from the eye. It's a multiverse. The Guy Who Done That Musicals is in a different reality to Forever and Always. Two different. Multiverse! I'm going to be saying that a lot. So if you haven't watched any of my previous theory videos, I believe that it's a multiverse, believe it or not, that starts at Jane's car crash. I think that is the moment that things start splintering off, because before that, all the events seem to be the same. It's only at that point do things start branching off and getting chopped and changed and stuff like that. So Jane's clearly important. In Forever and Always, it's mentioned, it's all about the Emma decoy. She takes over Emma's life after the car crash. She picks up the phone to Tom calling about Jane's death. Therefore, the multiverse is just splintered then. Yeah? Another whole thing is about Paul. Is he real in The Guy Who Did That Musicals or not? Paul says that he took the decoy. This is really complicated. The fake Paul took over Paul's life after several months of dating. I believe off the top of my head. Should have written that down. But after several months of dating Emma, and that Emma wasn't real anyway, so if the multiverse thing is to be believed, in The Guy Who Done That Musicals, it's real Paul and real Emma. If my theory is true, which I think it is. There's evidence. There's evidence! I suppose one of the biggest reasons, I did mention this before, I think, in a Starkid theory video, one of my biggest things about time travel and multiverse, one of the reasons that I love it so much is because I love Doctor Who. Doctor Who is my favourite fandom. Been a fan since 2005 and just love it so much. I love time travel so much. And one of my friends actually did time travel philosophy, just the philosophy of time travel, and she was asking me for my opinions and stuff, and so yeah, I'm just showing you the fact I've got nerd creds for this. Time Bastard. I really like the story. I think it's beautiful. I've written down the plot of Time Bastard, but it's essentially the bits I think are important. I think when Ted goes into that whole sequence with his wedding, getting married to Jenny, and their first dance and all that stuff, I believe that is an alternative universe. I think that is he's gone into a different part of the multiverse. So he's in this other part of the multiverse where he could get Jenny, he could have his perfect job and his perfect life, and he could have done that if he'd been kinder to women, better at his job, you know, just bits like that. I believe it is part of the multiverse. It is also possible it's just a dream sequence or just Tinky messing around with Ted's brain, because Tinky does that. I believe it could genuinely be just confirmation again, it's a multiverse. If I say it's a multiverse, like so many times in this video, does that mean it gets to be a multiverse? Nick Lang, how many times in a video do I have to say it's a multiverse before you will confirm that it's a multiverse? Let me know. Don't exploit that. Let's carry on. Then Ted goes to the office and travels into the future, 85 years, via the power of sleep. Kilgore's the first person who actually recognises Ted and calls him his name, and actually references and calls him the homeless man. Guys, we should have seen it coming. Just full on told us. On rewatch, it was like, oh, the signs were there. There's so many signs. Also, Kilgore says that Tinky is master of time and space and impossibilities. So it could be that whole wedding sequence with Jenny is just an impossibility, or the impossibilities could just be our brains working around multiverses. People dying in The Guy Who Did Like Musicals and then dying in Black Friday at the same, you know, that is an impossibility. But it could be multiverses. Does that make sense? When Ted is running to win Jenny and bumps into Andy and fucks up Andy for no reason, I mean, he had reasons, but still. He calls himself the Time Bastard because that's what Kilgore called him. And then Andy turns into Kilgore and then calls him the Time Bastard. So there we have a loop. Time loop. And that one can't happen without the other. Because if Ted hadn't messed around, injured, possibly killed Andy, Andy wouldn't have become Kilgore, wouldn't have become Executive Kilgore, and then called Ted the Time Bastard, and Ted wouldn't have known to call himself the Time Bastard when he went back in time, and, you know. It's a loop. Then there's that heartbreaking bit where Jenny is dying. I watched it with my sister, and the moment that Ted put it in his pocket away, was like, yep, that'll be useful later. My sister immediately went, he's gonna kill someone with that. Runs in the family, Starkid theories. When Ted looked in the Bastard box and goes crazy and becomes the Highlanders man, it really reminded me of the heart of the TARDIS. Going back to Doctor Who. Although it gives Rose like unlimited power, it does send her crazy. And I'm aware that there's quite a lot of you that won't get that reference, but for the few it does. Essentially, knowing too much about time and space will send anyone crazy. Another Doctor Who reference, Ted takes the long road back. The Madame de Pompadour episode, where the Doctor thinks he's trapped himself in 16th century France? Something like that. And him and Madame de Pompadour cheers to the long way round and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, so Ted took the long way round, essentially just growing old instead of time travelling because he didn't have access to the time travel. It's blindly obvious, mate. I'm sorry. I think it's because I just know I've watched too many time travel stuff that the moment he chose to travel back to 2004, I was like, that's a one-way ticket. Well done, mate. But yeah, when he gets back, he warns about Emma to Paul, to his best friend, Paul. Does anyone else find that really heartbreaking? That Ted thinks of Paul as his best friend and Paul's just, like, mean to Ted? And I'm aware Ted deserves it, but it was really heartbreaking seeing it from Ted's point of view. Yeah, so Ted warns about Emma, and then that's what ultimately gets him killed and put in the Master's box. If you try and unpick all of the time travel elements of that story alone, it can hurt your head a little bit. But if you guys want me to do a whole timeline, what I think the timeline is for Hatchetfield, I will do it, and I will include Time Bastard. But I can't go into too much detail of it now because I tried and my brain hurts. I've gone into as much detail as I possibly can for a video like this, but I'm assuming this video is going to be really, really long as it is, so you don't really want me to go into the intricacies of the Time Bastard time travel. Unless you do, in which case, like, share, subscribe, comment. Interesting point though about the time travel and my multiverse theory is when Ted travels back to 2004, that's before the car accident. So that's back to single track time, in my theory anyway. So he's stuck a number of ways, but that means, if my theory is true, that means Ted is the Homeless Man in every single Hatchetfield universe. Might seem straightforward, but yeah. Essentially, if you do what Paul says and think of the implications of Time Bastard, it can really, really mess with your brain and everything. And I promise you, I will crack it. Nick Lang, Matt Lang, if you're watching, any help you can give me, greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Comment down below or whatever. My last thing to say on that episode is, I don't know why, but I'm getting a shifty vibe of Sylvia. I want Bill to be happy, but I don't quite trust Sylvia. I just wanted to get that on record. If anything happens down the line, I just want that to be on record. Now we move on to episode 3, and where most of my theory took a battering. Jane's a car. There's a black book at the start. Like, they're talking about the black book, and that will be important. I just wanted to bring it up. It's important to bring it up now because it appears again in The Witch in the Web. So, from the black book, we find out the names of the Lords of Black. I love the names of the Lords of Black, but also I love the fact that we're just calling them Blinky, Tinky, Wiggly, Pokey, and Nibbly. Okay, sounds cool. Important to note, this obviously ties in with The Witch in the Web when we actually see the dolls come out. But Blinky, Tinky, and Wiggly, we've already met. Wiggly, obviously, if you didn't know, just a little thing called Black Friday. Blinky in Watch Your World, and Tinky in Time Bastard. That's when we've met those three. Pokey got the skull with the blue shit.
What the fuck is this shit?
Which I think we're all in agreement. Pokey was behind the guy who did like musicals and the apotheosis. Good, cool. Which means Nibbly is the only one that we haven't ironed down. Has Nibbly done anything? Will Nibbly do something? All that I really am aware of with Nibbly is Nibbly's got a big ass mouth, which is creepy. All the toys are creepy. But you're all still gonna buy it when Nibbly dolls come into the Starkid shop. People are still gonna buy them. Ethan didn't die! Yay! It was close. It was close, guys. But he didn't die that we're aware of. Thanks. Thanks, guys. And we get Obnoxious Teen. I really do want a whole Nightmare Time or whatever's gonna come next. Just solely based on Obnoxious Teen. Just in every single one of his jobs. Also, we find out a little bit more of what Santa Claus is going to high school is about. Another self-promo. For part of Vlogmas, I did a what I think the plot to Santa Claus is going to high school actually is. Check that out. I had too much fun with that. The more I think about the plot I came up with, the more I want it to be a real thing. I've danced around it for long enough. Jane is a car. I mean, they tried to tell us. I mean, they put it in the title. Aside from the fact that Jane might not be as nice and sweet and selfless as I first thought she was. I mean, this could just be this multiverse Jane. Yeah, Jane wants to kill Greenpeace Girl, which is another tie-in. Black Friday, guy who did my musicals. Nice. Yeah, Tom had sex with a car. Hands up if you can't unsee that scene. Yeah, all of us. I think it was one of those scenes that I think we all saw coming, but like, sort of like in slow motion. Certainly for me, when I was watching it, I was like, no, 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 no. But what made it, and this is one of the things that I really liked about Nightmare Time, and I'm sure you guys did as well, it's the fact we got to see, like, the other guys' reaction to the scene. James just like going like, no, no, scoot away. So at least we weren't alone, guys. Let's move on together. So at the end of Jane's car, it's safe to say that Jane and Becky have switched. Jane is now in Becky's body and Becky is in the car and crushed. Let's assume Becky's dead. And Tom has had a mental breakdown. I mean, yeah, it's not a happy clappy ending. Jane may still be Webby. That could it's looking less likely now. I admit that. It's less concrete than when I first put out the theory. But there's still evidence. There's still bits and bobs that, you know. And even if Jane isn't Webby, Jane's car accident is still pivotal, and I don't think anyone can ignore that. Jane's car accident is like a central theme of both Black Friday and The Guy Who Did My Musicals, even without being overtly talked about. You can't ignore the fact that Jane's car accident clearly is a central theme of Hatchetfield, is like a linchpin. Even if all my theories are wrong, that hurt. Just saying that, oh, that hurt. That's one thing I'm sure that I'm right on, is the car accident's got to mean something, and I think that is what released the Lords in Black into coming into our universe, and possibly started a multiverse. I'm not prepared to let go of Jane as Webby just yet, because I don't go down without a fight. Jane's car accident's got to mean something, okay? Let's move on. The last story in Nightmare Time, The Witch in the Web. And we start with the ukulele song, which was heartbreaking and beautiful. And brings me on to my first point, a whole ukulele colour swap. So, another thing, nobody can really deny is black and white is a bit of a theme. Just a bit. Just a little bit. Just a little smattering. Hannah's ukulele is white, and then when her mum is giving her back the ukulele, it's black. That alarms Hannah. I could really cram it into my multiverse theory and go, it was white in another universe, in another timeline. It was white, but in this one it's black, and Hannah's remembering it when it was white. Either way, something to look at, something to... Then we get introduced to an awesome character, Miss Holloway. Great character. She has abilities and possibly has links to Peep. I mean, Peep Children Department, going around looking at kids who are dealing with problems with the black and white. Yeah, makes sense. Also, another thing to keep in mind is the fact that she's called Miss Retro and she's like stuck in that sort of retro environment. So maybe there's something about time travel there. Maybe she was, you know, she travelled forward in time or something like that. I don't fully know, but there's gotta be something there. Ah! Miss Holloway figures out that when Lex got picked up, that is also when Webby went away for Hannah. So, I mean, I know it's been acknowledged Lex has a power and the black and white and whatever, but there's got to be something there when the two of them are together versus when the two of them are apart, you know? I know I'm asking a lot of questions in this so-called theory video, but it's important to just keep asking questions as well, because maybe you will have some of the answers. Yeah, that's right. You! This point is also when Miss Holloway brings out the black book. Miss Holloway has the black book that was brought up and was able to somehow transfer Jade into a car. So the black book's powerful. When Hannah and Miss Holloway are in Nightmare Time, in Hannah's Nightmare Time, let me be more specific, Hannah references the men with hatchets and the hatchet men, hatchet field. I know it's obvious, and I know we probably all saw it, but I think that's something to just make sure we're all aware of. Like that's a thing that was said. Lots of stuff went down, but I'm gonna skip forward to Miss Holloway's Nightmare Time, which is the Starlight Theatre, which, as any good Hatchetfield fan knows, is home of Mamma Mia. Also where the apotheosis started in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. So I think Starlight Theatre is more important than we realised. Also, in Miss Holloway's Nightmare Time, Wiggly appears and talks to Hannah and like goes, we just keep bumping into each other, don't we, Hannah? Which means Black Friday's happened for Wiggly. Essentially, Wiggly and the other Lords of Black are outside of the restrictions of the multiverse and are blatantly aware of all the different stories. Again, another important thing to point out, Hannah knows Wilbur. So Wilbur appears and Hannah says, why do I know you? Because it's a multiverse? Please? Because we know Hannah's got a strong mind and a connection to the black and white, and in The Witch and the Web it's revealed that Hannah's got a very, very strong psychic brain. She could break through barriers and be able to, like, remember things from other multiverses. Maybe. Then it's also revealed that Wilbur and Miss Holloway just keep killing each other. You know, nice, normal friendship. But Miss Holloway only remembers killing Wilbur, but whereas Wilbur is well aware of, you know, killing Miss Holloway and Miss Holloway killing him. We all go, say it with me, Multiverse! I mean, if someone did a video every time I said multiverse in this video, I think it would be longer than I imagine it would be. Let's continue. So they know each other. This fuels my theory that Miss Holloway is in Peep because Wilbur Cross is General McNamara's old mentor, and obviously that's Peep. It makes sense. It makes sense to me. We're almost done. We're on the last page, guys. We're on the last page. Well done, guys, for sticking with me. There's a moment when, like, Miss Holloway is like going, I have no idea what you mean, to Wilbur. Wilbur goes, well, Hannah does. Hannah at this point in Nightmare Time is starting to put things together. Something that caught my attention was the fact that Willabella called the Lords in Black and then went, my king, singular. which makes me think my theory about there being a puppeteer behind the scenes might be true, and they're all just the lords in black, but there's really like a king of black who we all really should be worried about. If that's true. The last bit where Miss Holloway is saying goodbye to Hannah, loads of people going, why does Miss Holloway have Ethan's cap? She gives Hannah a cap imbued with the power of Grayskull and will protect her, which is what Ethan says to Hannah when he gives her the cap in Black Friday. Now, my theory is, and it's a pretty straightforward theory, Ethan has power of the black and white, either that or he was in danger as a kid, so much so that Peep had to intervene, and Miss Holloway visited Ethan as a kid. And while she was visiting Ethan and taking care of him, she gave him a cap imbued with the power of Grayskull to protect him. And he remembered that, so when he saw Hannah freaking out, he gave her the cap. That's what I think happened, which would understand why Miss Holloway is just stuck in the 80s. Maybe she's an immortal and just really liked the 80s and just chooses to live like that forever. That's my little theory, just chucking in there right at the end. And yes, I said the end, because that is all 10 pages of my notes on my updated Starkid theory done. That didn't land where I wanted it to land, but I think you could tell that from the audio. What you've probably got out of this is I've got a lot of working out to do. I think we've got a lot of answers. I don't think we're asking the right question, which is why I asked quite a lot of questions in the video, is because I think we're just not asking the right questions. If we all work together, we can crack Hatchetfield. So for other theory videos you can expect from me, if you guys are interested, I will do what I think the Hatchetfield timeline is. I will go into more depth on any of the points that I have brought up if you would like me to. I am working on my Wayward Guide theories and possible plots of series 2, so if you're interested in that, let me know. And also, outside the realm of Tin Can Brothers and Starkid, just well out there, obviously any fellow Marvel fans, I am addicted to just rewatching WandaVision, so I have got some theories and some things on that, so if you're interested in hearing any of my points of view on WandaVision, just let me know. Woo. If you check out the description, there's ways you can support me. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Seriously, all of that really, really helps. I am around 150 now. Around 150. If I could get to 200, that would be amazing. I will be doing an interactive Starkid video coming out. Last video I said less than a month. Well, that was a hint, and I've given the hint a few times in other places, but the Starkid interactive video will be Who is Your Starkid Valentine? It will be coming out February 14th. Don't worry, Ethan will be in there. I mentioned it once in the Discord chat I'm in, just going, hey, I'm thinking of doing which Starkid Valentine are you for my next interactive one, and I had about 3 people message me going, Ethan better be in there. Ethan's going to be in there, guys. But if you've got any other characters that you really want to be in there, feel free to comment. In general, if there is a video that you would like me to do, there is a Google form down in the description box where you can let me know. Just send me a little thing. It could be as detailed or as undetailed as you want. The likes really help, because seeing the likes come in really does brighten my day, and it costs you nothing. And it seriously does brighten my day when I see, oh my gosh, there's 2 likes, there's 3 likes, there's 4 likes. It really, really cheers me up. Comment, let me know what I'm doing well. Let me know what I'm not so doing well on. Like, I want a nice conversation go between us, and I really love reading some of your theories about my theories. It really makes me feel like we're in a detective room and we're all here together just like going, right, we can do this, we can crack this. So shoot your theories off down in the comments below. I really do love reading them. Subscribe I mean, it's self-explanatory, but subscribing and clicking the bell really helps. Really, really helps. And again, costs you nothing aside from seeing my face pop up every so often. And then sharing. If you can share my videos, it doesn't matter which video you share, how often you share, who you tag, it doesn't matter. It really just makes a difference if you can share. And again, costs you nothing. None of these cost you anything to like, comment, subscribe, share. Love you all for doing that. And I love you if you don't. But I love you slightly less. So, take care everyone. Stay safe and stay totally awesome.